Okay guys, I am sitting by an explosion of books because last month I turned 40, which means I kind of like wrapped up my 40 before 40 list. I didn't get them quite all done. I think I'm gonna have a post, maybe I already have a post on Substack kind of wrapping that up. If not, I will shortly. But that means it's time to create my 50 before 50, which feels a little premature when I just barely turned 40. But my goal is mostly, I think they're like pretty much all classics, some of them more classic than others. So these are books that are going to take me a little while, although I've tried to balance a little bit of the like harder classics with some easier, lighter classics. When I created my 40 before 40, I only had 18 months from when I created it to when I turned 40. So I tried to have a lot more like lighter books in there, and I didn't really create any kind of real plan. Now my plan is to actually make a plan. And my hope is to actually get all of these books read, which in 10 years means I need to read 5 books a year. Which is like pretty doable if I balance the harder ones with the lighter ones. And especially if I go with my method that I like to do in the winter. Every January I read a Dickens book right now, and I take generally 2 months to read it, about a chapter-ish a day, maybe like 10 pages a day depending on the book. And then I can get through it fairly easily. I'm trying to do the same thing right now in the summer. It's not going as well because I want to be outside in the summer. So if I can kind of do that for the most part, it will work well, just knowing that some months that doesn't work well for me. But 5 classics a year, 5 specific classics a year. I will read other books other than these, other classics as well, but if I can focus on getting 5 of these done each year, it seems doable, and then I can actually hit up all 50 of these books. So I have made a list. I own physical copies of almost all of them, and the ones that I don't, I'm kind of keeping an eye out for. We're gonna start out with what I already said is every January I read a Dickens book. So what I have been doing is I've been reading the Dickens in publication order, the ones that I own. And so I'm going to share, I have 5 more that I have, 4 I have copies of, and 1 more I just know I want to read. And then the other Dickens that I haven't read, maybe I will sneak in as I purchase copies of them, or maybe that'll just be down the road. I'm not sure, but these are like the Dickens I want to prioritize. The next one I have to read based on publication order is Dombey and Son. I don't know anything about this one at all. After that, I don't own Bleak House, but that is the next one in publication order that I want to read. Then we have Hard Times. This one's actually seems pretty short, so that might be an easier one. Might take me less than 2 months to get through. I was curious to know how many chapters are in this one. Oh, it's separated differently. That's a chapter 8, so that doesn't really make any sense. Are these short stories? I don't know what this is, but that one's shorter. Anyway, and then not shorter is Little Dorrit. This one's beastly, coming in around 900 and some pages. So that one will definitely take me the full 2 months. And then of course, Great Expectations. Yeah, I have tried this one twice, but I've read so many Dickens now. I think it should be a pretty easy read. This is the one I'm most excited to read. I may actually read this before it comes up on my list, just if I want to. If I feel like I'm in the mood, I'm not going to say no to that. Okay, so those are like the 5 Dickens that I want to read in the next 10 years. It seems crazy. Only 5 Dickens in 10 years. The next book I have on my list, I don't own a physical copy of, it's The Count of Monte Cristo. I thought I owned a copy, so I didn't buy it at the thrift store a couple months ago. Turns out I didn't own a copy. Definitely want to read that one, but I would like to find a copy of it first. Then another chunker, which I would like a different copy of to read from, is Don Quixote. I am collecting these, what are these, Macmillan, I don't know what this edition is called, Macmillan Collector's Library Edition books. And I don't mind reading some books from these editions, but not the super thick ones. That's not very comfortable. So yeah, I want to read this when I find a better copy. Okay, this is like the only non-fiction, I think, for my list, because I really want to read Agatha Christie's autobiography. Yeah, because I love Agatha Christie. I was tempted to put like a bunch of Agatha Christie books on this list, but I thought that would be too easy. So I'm putting her autobiography on here. This is the one that is called an autobiography. She does have another one called Come Tell Me How You Live, I think, which comes after this. Ideally, I would read that one at some point yet too, but this one's my priority. Okay, now we're gonna get into C.S. Lewis. I want to read a bunch of C.S. Lewis. He was supposed to be my literary mentor a few years ago, and for my DIY literature degree, and I didn't read as much from him as I wanted to. So, okay, and then this is another embarrassing one. I have not read Mere Christianity yet. I have started it 2 or 3 times and gotten like decently far into it. I'm on book 3, according to where my bookmark is. I would like to read that one. I would also like to read the rest of the books in here. So I've already read the Screwtape Letters multiple times. Don't need to read that one again. But I want to read Miracles, The Great Divorce, The Problem of Pain, A Grief Observed, The Abolition of Man, and The Four Loves. So that's a decent amount of Lewis, but that's not all that I want to read. I have a couple others. Till We Have Faces and The Weight of Glory are 2 more of his that I would like to read. I also have more on my shelf of his that I have not read, but I'm not going to prioritize those at this point, at least. Okay, then after that, I want to read Les Mis. Also would like this in a different edition. I have my eye out on a specific translation. So we will see if I end up getting that translation or if I just end up reading it from here. This one's really dusty. Apparently it was getting really dusty sitting on my shelf. I've got The Three Musketeers. I've heard that it's kind of boring, so hopefully I don't find it that boring. Hopefully I can get through it. Ooh, my next one is, I think, on my nightstand. I just started it. I think just started it is a bit of an exaggeration. I started it like 2 weeks ago, maybe. Far from the Madding Crowd. When did I start this? Beginning of June, maybe, actually. This is the classic that I'm reading right now that I had wanted to read a chapter a day. But yeah, summer, I just want to like get going with my day. So I'm almost halfway through. I'm doing okay, but not reading it quite as much as I do in the winter when I read my classics. This is my first Thomas Hardy, and I want to read more from him. The other ones I have here are The Return of the Native. I don't really know anything about this one, but this is like a super floppy edition, so that'll be fun to read from. Then I also want to read Tess of the Dubervilles and Jude the Obscure. I don't really know anything about his books. I know they're kind of depressing, but I want to read all of his eventually. So I thought I would start with the ones that I have copies of. Okay, now we've got some like easier ones. So many books. Okay, one of my goals is to read all of the Lucy Maud Montgomery books that I own that I have not read yet. So I've got The Doctor's Sweetheart. This one though, I wonder, these are short stories. I wonder if this one is similar to The Blythes Are Quoted, which I read about a year ago. No, in December I read. I think it might have some of the same short stories from there. And then I've got Along the Shore. These are also short stories. Her short stories aren't my absolute favorite, hence why I have so many of them left. The Road to Yesterday. Oh, this one might be the one that is The Blythes Are Quoted. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll figure it out as I go. And then we've got Akin to Anne, which is Tales of Other Orphans. So a bunch of orphan short stories. And then this one I got a few months ago, and it's Among the Shadows, 19 newly discovered stories by Canada's most popular author. And I think these are like more gothic mystery, maybe. There's a sticker, a thrift store sticker here blocking most of it. Yeah, I think this one's kind of ghosty. I don't know, different for her for sure. Okay, I think that was all for her. And then kind of in that same vein, Another Canadian classic, Mrs. Mike, is one that I would like to read. This is the heartwarming classic story of the Boston girl who married a rugged Canadian Mountie. I've heard good things, and I think this might be a series. She's a young Irish girl from Boston that moves to Alberta. Definitely, I would like to read more Canadian stories. I own another misread book. This one is Village School. I really enjoyed Christmas Mouse when I read it. I think it was like a year and a half ago at Christmas. So I want to read more misread books kind of as I come across them, and this is one that I do own already. I don't really know anything about it. And then I also want to finish the What Katie Did series. So I've read the first 2 or 3 books. The next one I have is Clover, which follows Katie's sister Clover. And then the last one is In the High Valley. I don't know what that one's about, but I would love to wrap up that series. Next is Lorna Doone, a book that I have heard good things about, but actually don't know anything about, and that's okay with me. This month I read Freckles, so now I want to read A Girl of the Limberlost. I'll share more about my thoughts on Freckles at the in my June wrap-up, because I just recently finished it. I love the cover of this one. Next, I want to read some Willa Cather. So I have My Antonia, which is also in this Macmillan Collector's Library edition, but because it's so thin, it will be easy to read from here. And then I also have O Pioneers, which has a bunch of poppies and a wheat field in it on the cover, which just has a vibe that I'm interested in reading. And then Elizabeth Gaskell. I want to read, I've got a few of hers here. I want to read Mary Barton. I have actually started this one. I think I've gotten like, oh no, I started this one, Ruth. I think this is the one I started. I got to page 12. So I want to read both of those. As well, I want to read Cousin Phyllis. I have read Cranford already. They're both in this edition. And then I want to read The Life of Charlotte Bronte by Elizabeth Gaskell. I think that would be very interesting since they knew each other. And then speaking of Charlotte Bronte, I want to read Shirley, which is the last one of her books, last Bronte book I have to read, other than like their juvenilia and maybe some unfinished works. I've gotten to page 76 in here before. I was enjoying it. Sometimes I just put things down and then don't pick them back up. Okay, next is, I need to read some Catherine Marshall, you guys. I keep finding her books at thrift stores and little free libraries. They're all in the same, except one. They're in the same edition, which is kind of a terrible cover. But I want to read them all, and I haven't, and I've only heard good things. So Christie is her most well-known and well-loved one, I think. So definitely need to start there. And then I think the next one is A Man Called Peter. I think this was actually published before Christie. And then we've got To Live Again. I think, is this her story? I think so, maybe. And then we've got Julie. I don't know what this one's about, but once again, Catherine Marshall. This one only cost me 50 cents at the thrift store. So I couldn't leave it behind, even though I'm embarrassed that I haven't read any of her books yet. A classic that is short that I still haven't read is That Was Then, This Is Now by S.E. Hinton. I have been gun shy because I loved The Outsiders, but I read Tex, and that one was really boring. So I've just been scared to try another one because I don't think anything will top The Outsiders, but definitely want to give that one a try. And then I want to finish the Miss Bunkle series. I read it, I think, in the winter, a few months ago at least. So I've got Miss Bunkle Married is the next one, The Two Mrs. Abbotts, and The Four Graces. So I want to finish that series off. And then the last book is another one that I started and have not finished. So I want to read The World of Jeeves. These are kind of like short stories, and I'm 120 pages in. Enjoying it. I have no reason to not be reading it other than I just got out of the habit of picking it up, and then there it's at. So that, according to my list, is 50 books, some of which are very involved, will take me a while. Definitely with classics, audiobooks can be very helpful, but I also really like a physical copy so I can underline things. So having both is really nice. The few that I don't own, I want to keep an eye out for because I would love to have the physical copy when I'm reading it. Yeah, let me know if you have read any of these classics, if they're like any of them are favorites of yours. I actually had more that I wanted to put on this list, but I had to stop at 50. If you guys want to see a wrap up of my 40 before 40, that will be on Substack, which I will have linked below. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for another video.